Yes, today's video is a thrift to treasure, and not all treasures are treasures. So sometimes you have to help them along. That's the part of the treasure. So it's thrift, it's secondhand. Somebody decided that they no longer wanted it for one reason or another. So our purpose as what I do for a living is to make things over, give it new life, fix it up, make it be wanted again. So sometimes it's as simple as just painting up a frame, just taking the time to tape off so we don't get any paint on the fabric, and then just giving new life to this frame. The makeovers aren't always complicated by any means, as simple as just a new black paint job for this frame, or even for this one, this 1980s, I'm guessing, blue frame. That is a beautiful sampler. That is beautiful, handmade. Let's just give it new life, get somebody to want it again. And then I want to finish these off by adding a backing. It already has a hanging system, but as you can see, there's no backing. So for me, as a reseller, I want the back of my pieces to look just as pretty as the front of my pieces. So I'm just going to glue on a piece of this contractor's paper. It's just some thick, heavy brown paper, kind of like a paper bag material, and it's just really going to finish this piece off. Hi fellow crafters, DIYers. Oh my goodness, do I have a good video for you. I have been out thrifting, looking for secondhand finds, not only to resell, but that I can repurpose and make over and share the process with you all of what I do to the items. So in today's video, that is one of those thrift to treasure videos. Oh, do I have some good ones in store for you all. I told you I had quite a grouping to be working on, though I ended up having to split this up into two videos, or you would have been watching a 4-hour video of these makeovers. But I'm going to start off with this little cute mailbox, but unfortunately it's really scratched up. So as always, we're going to start off with getting it cleaned, removing any of the tags. There looks to be some sticky, and if that sticky's still on there and you go to paint over it, you're going to see that that is not a detail that you want to bring out. So I'm going to use a little bit of lemon oil to get the rest of that sticky off, and I see that there's a tag on the bottom, so we'll have to take that tag off also. Since I will be painting this piece, I'm going to go ahead and remove those felt pads so that I'm not painting over those. Now that I've got it all cleaned up, it almost looks really good after I got it all cleaned up, but it's still not. I wish sometimes you could see something closer. It is a nice metal mailbox. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of the 15-minute enamel paint, and now this is in the flat, to give it a good base coat, a good primer. Honestly, I loved the color that it was. It just needed to be cleaned up. So I'm going to test out Zinc. I have not used the Zinc in the milk paint before, and so I really don't know what color this really is. I know that it's a gray. I can tell that it's a gray, so we will see. So I'm just doing a couple spoonfuls and probably about 3 spoons of water just for just a little bit of it. After I stirred it for about 2 minutes, let it sit off to the side until it thickened up. Oh, I think it's going to be a pretty color. I wasn't sure why it was in the bowl, but once I started to put it on the piece itself, I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to like this. A lot of times I will let a piece tell me where I should paint. So where I stop and start, like not doing the bottom or doing the back, just the front and the sides, I think will be enough for this piece. And I didn't even do 2 coats. The coverage was amazing. I didn't need 2 coats, even though I mixed up all the paint. But anyway, so I'm just going to take some 220 sandpaper that has been used. That means so it's not that really coarse. And then I'm just going to ever so gingerly just run it over the top of that. I want that mail, the letters of the mail to pop. Hopefully I can get down to the really real metal of it all, and with a little bit of patience and a little back and forth motion, you can see that I've got the male popping. You need to seal your milk paint in, and I'm choosing to use Jolie's black wax because I really think that it is really just going to take that zinc milk paint to the next level. So I'm going to rub it on all the entire spots. I know it's going to even help though that lettering even pop more. And then I'm just going to take some of the natural wax by Varathane, whatever natural wax you have, and then just kind of wipe it in there and blend it all in. I really like the color of this. Next up, I have this broken down lantern. Yeah, I'm going for that. I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool piece. As you can tell, it has been painted multiple times. So heck, why not give it one more time a paint job? So I'm going to go ahead and get it all cleaned up. Somebody punctured a hole in the back for whatever reason. So I'm just going to try to hammer that flat. But we'll deal with that later. But yes, so I think that it's absolutely beautiful. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat because I had the gray left over. So the zinc color left over. I'm going to go ahead and give it the first coat of the zinc color. That's really going to kind of blend in with what the metal is in the inside. I'm going to leave the inside as is. I like the age of that, but we're just going to go ahead and clean up the rest of this right now. This won't be its final coat, but I'm going to go ahead and while I have this paint mixed up, I might as well get it used up. So to give it that nice chippy look, it's fun to layer colors. Metals, I'm going to say that zinc color covers really well. So one coat was plenty. Now I'm going to go back in with Sweet Pickins, the red wagon. I just imagine this like a stop signal, something that you really want to get your attention, and that brighter red will do the job. So I'm just layering it on top of each other. I only did like a scoop this time, just a little dab will do you, but I absolutely love the coverage and I love the color. I didn't add any heat whatsoever on this, and maybe it's the two milk paints. I'm not really sure, but did you see the chippiness? It really did get some chippiness going on there. So before I do anything, I want to deal with the hole. So I have some of these little numbered tacks, which I believe in olden days, or maybe people still use them, that you used to number your screens so you knew where your screens went back in when you would take them out for the winter. So I think I love picking these up. I love numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue them in. And at first I thought I would work by leaving the tack part on, but I ended up having to take my nips and cut that part off. I just wanted to put one on one side, one on the other, and then we will be covering up that hole. I don't want to take too much of this paint off because I know, like, if I tried to sand it, I would probably take more than I want off, but I do want to seal it in. I am going to really transform that red wagon by some black wax. Now, you can put if you don't want it to be as dark of this, you can put the natural on first, then the black, or you don't even have to put the black on. You can just put the natural. I want it to have more of an aged look to go with the inside of the piece by using the Jolie's black wax. See that some of the chippiness came off, but the crackling really grabbed onto that black. So there's some of the gold showing. It's okay. It's an old piece. We're just making this up as we go because it is no longer what it used to be. When I saw this piece, when I thrifted it in an antique store for like nothing, I knew that I could cover up that hole. I have some of these old aged tart pans that the age of the metal God wink moment matches perfectly, and I'm just going to hot glue that in place. And to finish this off, I have some matching, almost matching pipberry, a little candle wreath, a little battery operated candle, which I'll end up like helping it stand up in there, but isn't it just so sweet? So next up, I have this stack of shaker boxes. A stack. And I actually did not thrift them all together. Some of them were thrifted separately, but I thought it would be really fun to make them all coordinate together. And they are wood. A lot of times these are cardboard, but these are actually wood. Well, unlike what they were before, I'm going to have them all be the same color. So I'm going to start off with some of the Newell by Fusions. Now, this is not going to be its final color. I just want to get these primed. I want to really cover up these primary darker colors. I want to just give them a nice base coat, and I think this will act nice as a primer since Fusion has paint, primer, and top coat all in one. Do you all have favorite colors in your stash of paints that you kind of like, you find things just so you can use the color? Well, these shaker boxes were this. I absolutely love this color, curry. I love it. I love everything about this yellow. And what I love about it is it never covers solid. It just has so much different variations when you paint with it. Oh my gosh. You can't tell at first when you're painting it on, but once it dries, it's a fun, bright, happy yellow color. So this is definitely going to take two colors, but you can already see the variation of what is going on with this paint. I love it. I like that it's that perfectly imperfect. It's not all one, solid color. So if you don't like the unpredictability, milk paint may not be for you, but I absolutely think that it gives that old-timey look to a piece. Let's see what happens if I add a heat gun to help dry. Will we get any cracking? Will we get any chippiness? So it's all that's the other unpredictability of milk paint. You just really don't know. And sometimes I think when you prime it really good that it doesn't. But I really don't want too much of it to chip off like it did the second piece that I did, because I don't want you to see those primary colors. But some crackling would be nice. So sometimes when you go in with the wax, that's where you really see your crazing, your crackling going on. So I'm actually going to mix the Jolie's black wax in with the antiquing Glaze by Fusions just to tone it down, just to give it a little bit more smoother of coverage. I love these little stools. I love them for decor. They are just perfect. So this one you can see has been chewed on by somebody. And the burgundy, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be a hot seller. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm not going to sand it all the way down. All I'm doing is just kind of getting some of the paint off, some of the, just where it builds up gunk and stuff like that. I just want my paint to adhere well, and just giving a scuff sanding will help it do that. I'll deal with the chewed part in a second. I'm just going to take a little bit of some wood putty. This one just happens to be really dried out, but there's still enough moisture in it, and it still works perfectly fine that I'm not willing just to throw it away yet. So I'm just filling in those little teeth marks and just smoothing them out. It'll just dry quicker. And after just a little bit of sanding, it didn't take much. All I wanted to do was just fill those in. I'm going to take a coat of shellac and seal in and even out that porosity where I put that wood filler. There's just something about a little black stool. It's versatile. It can go almost in anyone's decor. So coal black it is. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the bottom, getting this painted up. For flipping it over and doing the top side, I'm going to just take a mister bottle and just slightly mist it. That's really going to help even out if there is any brush strokes. Now this needed 2 coats of paint, and I purposely didn't cover the very little bottom feet there. That way I could flip this over and not worry about it. It's usually always going to be on those feet. So I'm just taking my sander with some 80 grit, because that Fusion is such a good paint that it doesn't want to come off those ends. 220 wasn't enough, so 80 grit it is. I want to distress this piece. You're going to see a little bit of the burgundy by the way I'm distressing it, but that's okay. But I want to try to get down to that natural wood, hitting all these sharp edges. And then, of course, distressing a piece is a personal preference. So now I'm just going to go over lightly. I'm not doing it to smooth it out. I'm just doing it to give it a little bit more age at those corners. And then to finish this piece up, I'm going to go in with some of the Jolie's black wax. Black is really good on black because you won't see that chalkiness. Sometimes even the natural on a black piece or a really dark piece will kind of leave it chalky. The thing about thrift flips is you really have to have a vision, because I'm sure like a tin can with a handle that is so totally gross, but it has a handle. I don't know what it was used for. I probably don't want to know what it was used for, but what I did, that's what attracted me. Somebody had put a handle on this tin can. They had a purpose for this tin can. They used it for something. So I'm going to start right off with first and taking my scraping tool and getting whatever that chunkiness is off. And then this will be one of those pieces that the bucket of water is not going to be enough to clean it. I'm going to take it into my house, put it in a hot soapy bath of water, and really get it washed off. Know why it is drying. I want to do some type of a label. So I'm going to see what I already have, and I think this sheep will fit on there perfectly, and I can do a big enough size since this is such a large can. So this is something I purchased off Etsy. It's always available on my downloads for me to be able to use. I go into my Excel program. I can copy and paste it in there, and then I can size it appropriate to what I need to fit the can.
can is pretty clean, but I want to seal whatever might have been on that can. I love some of the rusty features on that handle. I just wanted to make sure that this is safe to sell, to use. So I'm going to go ahead and seal all this in with some weather defense metal spray. So I feel like this can needs to be brightened up. So I'm going light. I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Fusion's Parchment on the outside of this can. And if you notice, I'm kind of a fan of the thinner brushes, like the fan brushes that I used earlier, and then this thinner brush from the Painted Heirloom. I just love that it doesn't hold a ton of paint, so I feel like I can control it a lot better. This being a light color, it took 3 coats. I misted in between each coat, and then of course on the final coat I gave it 1 more misting, but it's nice to have a brush that I feel like I can control really well. I feel like that handle is just, it's just a neat feature. Somebody took the time to, I don't even know how to weld, but it's pretty cool. So, and I love that I made the label really big, and then the light color. You know, this is just changing this. Probably would have been in the trash easily for a lot of people. But, you know, that's what we DIY crafters do. We like to take salvage finds and make them into something else. So just layering on some Mod Podge on the back of this. I just print this out on regular copier paper. I just have a regular inkjet printer. Nothing fancy. And sometimes, I don't know why it does happen or it doesn't happen, you can tell how the copier paper faded into a green kind of lead. It happens. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does. And this time it did, but that's okay. You have to work with that perfectly imperfect. So I'm just going to use some of the Antiquing Glaze by Fusion to darken that back up. I wasn't really wanting it to be green, but it is what it is, and I'm not going to try to take it off just to, I'll just make it into a hot mess. But you can see how the Antiquing Glaze is just light enough that it's just really bringing that back to life, actually giving it the age, a little bit more age, because I was going to be antiquing the parchment color anyway. Now I have this little Easter basket, and it's a kind of a wood. I really like the button, the tacks on it. I just love the shape of it. And I wanted to make it so it would be for more than just Easter. I wanted to make it be home decor for year round, just a place to stick some cute little decor pieces. So I don't know, I probably had something glued into the bottom, so I'm just going to go ahead and get that sanded down. That didn't take too long to get rid of. And then I don't think that these stencils are raised, but just to not take a chance, I'm going to just sand those a little bit to make sure that they're smooth. No, I'm not slipping back into my black and white face. I just really envisioned this being black. That way I could sand the edges, get that natural wood to pop through. That really, black just really shows the distressing really well. And it's just a classic color. I let this piece actually dry overnight. It got 2 coats on it, and that fusion paint, it likes to be on on there. Oh, 150 I think is what I used to actually do the distressing, and now I'm just smoothing out. I just want a little bit to take a little bit of the shiny off, just using some steel wool. Waxing is not something you have to do. It's just something I like to do. I just really feel like a piece is finished once I add that wax as a top coat. So here's something I haven't found in a while, candlesticks. Though they don't need to be a pair to make them all match at the end. The fun is that they don't match. So these were purchased at Goodwill. So I'm going to get their tags off and start to clean them up. And just by chance, I ran across 4 different ones, but they're all wood. So some of them are kind of shiny like this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take some 220 sandpaper just to scuff sand it. I want to make sure that my paint properly adheres to it. I have a few favorite greens, but this green I absolutely love. Carriage House by Fusion. Oh my goodness. And it sells really well when I use it. So, and I think it's a classic green. I think it's a timeless green. So it can go into the fall season that we're in right now, into Christmas, into spring. It's just one of those colors. Not only is the color going to make these 4 coordinate, putting these pieces of wood on top of them is even going to make them coordinate more because they all had different tops. So these are actually the unfinished wood pieces from Hobby Lobby, but they're a coaster set. So they're made to be a coaster set, but I like just the simplicity of them. It doesn't matter that, some are bigger and some are smaller. I just think this is really going to tie this together. Though I'm probably going to sell them separately in my retail booth. I definitely think somebody might really, because they're all kind of tiered, might be interested in all 4 because they will be matching. So I'm just using some Titebond quick and thick glue, making sure that it's centered, and then I'm going to flip it upside down, and then I'll put like a little paint can, one of the Fusions that's full, paint on it just to give it some weight until it dries. Now I let these dry overnight, flipped upside down with a paint can on top of them for the weight to make sure that they were good and adhered. And now I want to add some stain to these unfinished pieces of wood. So the thing about the coaster is it's already smooth, though the unfinished pieces sometimes are, you need to sand them and all this, but I've never found that with the coaster. The coasters are ready for some stains. So I'm just using some antiquing glaze. I don't want to go crazy with darkness or make it too light. And then I'm going to use the antiquing glaze on the green itself. You'll notice as I'm applying the antiquing glaze, it's actually taking a little bit of the paint off here and there and distressing the piece. So this next one is more about adding decor in than transforming the piece. It is super cute. It's rusty crusty. It's got that spring handle on it. It's got that star. And I have some perfect embellishments to go in it. Though I love this little mouse when I bought it, but to go with this, I just envision it being taken off that tart tin and being put on that wooden spool. So I'm going to take them off, pick off some of his pieces and parts, and that was cheese. He has cheese on him, and we'll put the cheese back. But I want him to be sitting a little bit higher on top of this old spool. Yep, I'm going to have to glue them back together. I pulled his tail off, poor little guy. But yeah, that's okay. His tail is super cute, and it is regluable. We can get that all reglued back together. So now I'm going to go glue a candlestick in here so that it would stay in place if you wanted to move it and not be, falling over. That's just a candlestick holder. And I have this beautiful, just amazing fabric tape, measuring tape that's vintage. It says underwear on the tag. I don't know why. I think it's cute and funny. And I thought instead of florals or pips berries or anything like that, I thought this would just be cute because of that mouse and the pop of the color, and then a lighted little candle. So what can I do with this candlestick? What do you think, y'all? What do you think? What should I do with this? It's actually kind of pretty. I think it's metal. I think we got some marble at the bottom. I'm not really sure. But I did Google Lens it, so it is not getting made over. But it is missing some pieces and parts. So the makeover on this is because I'm a hoarder, I'm a stasher, and I have some of the crystals that I have 4 exactly that should be on this beautiful candlestick. Sometimes these are projects that as us flippers we just do off camera and you never even see them. But I thought in today's video I would share some of those little, like painting a frame that's so simple and easy, putting some decor in just a little bitty tin without painting it, and as simple as hoarding on to some beautiful crystals to make this be the piece that it should be. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and have I inspired you in any way to look at secondhand finds in a new way? Yes, repurposing, giving new life, painting a new color, adding something to it. You just never know what can be in store for a secondhand find, and you don't know when you're out thrifting what you're going to find. So you just have to envision it right there on the spot. Do I see a purpose? Have I done something similar? Can I change it? Can I make it better? Can I make it to be wanted again? So thanks again for watching today's video, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this content and you stayed to the end, I think that you liked it. So hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when we uploaded a new video, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.